Hello and welcome. It's Finrock39. Going to continue my series of videos showing how you can max out all the concealment you can out of whatever weapons that you're using. For this particular one, I'm going to be focusing on the Akimbo Weapons. And instead of using the Bernetti 9 as the secondary with its high number in concealment, I'm going to go for something that's a little lower, 30, and I'm using the Judge as that one as the secondary. Most of us, or most of the players I see using stealth, bring a Judge shotgun as their secondary. Most of the time in stealth we're using this. I know I do as my primary. I hardly ever switch the weapon, and considering that I see a lot of players using the Judge both in stealth and as a critical build weapon, I figured why not. So I'll show you once again what I did in the skill tree. You see no skills anywhere else, so its main focus is in concealment of your weapons. And I took 1 point, put it in duck and cover, and the 2 for inner pockets. That's just increasing the concealment of your melee weapons. Now in Silent Killer, I took second wind basic just to get up to optical illusions to ace it, which is the real reason for not taking a penalty when using silencers, and it actually gains 1 point of concealment for each silence weapon that you're equipping. So that's typical stuff that people do when they make a stealth build or even a critical damage build, because the lower your detection risk, the better for you if you're using low blow in a critical build, and also it keeps your detection risk low enough that when you're stealthing you can have the silencers that you know keep you from going loud when you're trying to be sneaky. So everything else is blank because I don't want to see any other numbers. I'm just focusing on concealment here. So without further ado, let's look at the Akimbo Weapons, starting with the Shimano compact pistols, which this has only 2 mods, and just for consistency and a standard, I equipped all of these pistols with the asepsis suppressor and the concealment boost. As far as the submachine guns in this group of weapons, I had to use the medium suppressor instead of the asepsis because you can't put this on submachine guns. It's just for pistols. But now just a FYI, any one of these suppressors, the standard issue, the size doesn't matter, the Rotec suppressor, oops, the Champions suppressor, all have the same concealment number no matter which one you switch it to. The ones that will change it as far as the non-DLC is the Monolith. It'll drop it by 1, which isn't that bad. As you see, it didn't even change my detection risk. And the Judge is my secondary in this particular video, so even with the modded Judge, it didn't change a thing. So now there are 2 DLC suppressors that will change that concealment number, and one is this budget suppressor and the other is the Jungle Ninja suppressor. So even by equipping them, my detection risk never changed because the Shimano compact pistols in Akimbo form really have a good concealment number, so it's not going to do too much with your detection risk. But once again, I'm keeping everything the same, so the asepsis is the one I'm going with. I did use a concealment boost, obviously, and that's all this little gun set of guns has. Now the Akimbo Crosskill pistols, they reach a 29 concealment with the very same suppressor and the concealment boost. Now I'm sure I put something else on here, but it probably has nothing to do with concealment. There it is, the vented slide. All it does is increase damage by 1, decrease accuracy by 4, and increase stability by 8. But it didn't change a thing when it came to concealment. Now if I went with the long vented slide, you see it takes it to a 27, but let's see if that has any impact on the minimum detection risk. Not at all. So you players, make sure you're getting in and you're trying everything, see what you're acceptable with or what you're willing to accept, and give it a go. I mean, modding guns is a big part of this game and making you effective with your builds and things of that nature. So feel free to, really experiment with what works for you and what might raise or decrease your detection risk. Now, the Akimbo Krinkov submachine guns did take the detection risk up to 4, but that's because its concealment is 25. And I'll show you. Once again, this is a submachine gun, so it has to use the medium suppressor, the low profile suppressor, the champion suppressor, or for you DLC users, you can use the PBS suppressor. But you see the number changed drastically from one to the other. So I'm once again staying with one standard, even though there are only 3 sets of Akimbo submachine guns, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm choosing the medium suppressor because it gives you the most concealment out of all of them, or out of the other ones that could give you a negative hit. Also, the concealment boost. The compact laser module doesn't give you a benefit other than being able to see where you're shooting before you get on the trigger, or hip fire reference, but there's nothing that it does for or against concealment. I did use the AK rubber grip, and you probably can use any one of these other ones, but bear in mind you're already at a 4, so it will change some things, which you know what I'm after is the highest concealment numbers I can achieve, and the rubber grip is the way to go. So that's what I can do. And bear in mind, 4 detection risk, it's only 1 above the minimum, and you can easily stealth with a 4. If you really want to bring these, feel free. You could actually stealth even higher than that, but you know what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to quit beating that dead horse. Here we go to the Akimbo Bernetti 9s. The achievable concealment number is 30, and I have the asepsis suppressor, the concealment boost, and I believe these last 2 mods have nothing to do with concealment whatsoever. Their stability, the ergo grip, gives you +4, and the upper receiver, the elite slide, it gives you a stability of +8 with no negative effect on concealment. Now onto the strongest Akimbo weapons in the game. It's really incredible how much damage these can do. The Akimbo Deagle pistols has the asepsis suppressor, the concealment boost. I do have a micro laser, but same like the compact laser module, no effect whatsoever, positive or negative. The grip, now you can use the ergo grip, and it does nothing for the minimum detection risk at all. It doesn't change it because it's lower than what I'm getting out of the bling grip. I'm using that because there's a positive number for concealment, and I think that looks a lot better than this in my opinion, but it's to each his own. Now that's all these bad boys have really, but you see that it's incredible how much damage these things can put out and still maintain a minimum detection risk of 3. Now here, the Akimbo Shimano 88 pistols can get up to 32 using the very same suppressor and the concealment boost, and that's about it. Now if you want a laser and you don't mind losing a bit of concealment, which is just 1 point and it has no effect on your detection risk, you can use this laser grip the platypus grip, so you don't have to put a gadget on it. But if you want maximum concealment, I recommend just taking that off and going over here and putting a micro laser on, because you'll still have the laser pointer, the point of reference, and it doesn't cost you anything in concealment. Now on to the Akimbo Shimano custom pistols, which their concealment number is 31. Now I have quite a few mods on this one, because in all actuality they have nothing to do with taking away concealment. There's the asepsis suppressor, the concealment boost, that micro laser, the ergo grip for stability increase, and the long slide. It gives you positive benefit in damage of 1, a negative effect in accuracy of 4, and a positive benefit of +4 in stability at no cost in concealment. Now if you wanted to go with the extended mag, I'm pretty certain it's not going to change the detection risk. If you want to go with a grip that takes one more away, no effect in your minimum detection risk whatsoever. So even if you put this combined module, all those mods, still you can maintain a minimum detection risk of 3, which goes to prove to me that that's one of the main reasons why a lot of players are using Akimbo weapons as their primary when they're stealthing. Not only because they do decent damage or really good damage if you're using the Desert Eagle, but because it's easier to maintain a minimum detection risk at very little cost whatsoever. And that's what those are doing. Now here's the second set of Akimbo submachine guns, and it's the Compact 5. Now this one's a bit tricky, because if you go to the foregrip, you actually have a silenced barrel. The Ninja barrel is silenced, but it's going to take it to a 27 in concealment. And I just realized that the SHAREfactory barrel, I hope I said that right, coupled with a medium suppressor gets you to 28. So once again, I'm trying to get the most out of concealment that I possibly can, and that's why I went with that option instead. It also has a concealment boost. I equipped a compact laser module, and that's all it is. So really easy to mod these Akimbo weapons. It's actually one of the easiest things I've ever done to get a minimum detection risk, and I never really use Akimbo weapons. Now here are the Akimbo Heather submachine guns. We'll use the medium suppressor as well, the compact or concealment boost, sorry. I could put a compact laser module on here. I might even be able to use the, alright, we'll go with this one and see what it does to the detection risk. It took it up 1 point. Not like it's necessary, but just to show you that even with some mods that, you know, you can easily maintain a really low detection risk using Akimbo weapons. And I believe the judge is in the secondary slot, so almost impossible for you not to be really low in detection by using Akimbo weapons. Now this unfolded stock, I'm not certain if it's not DLC or not. I'm not sure if everyone has access to it, so I didn't use it at all. But if I'm wrong in that, and you can use these whether you have DLC or not, it's just a +8 stability benefit. Why not throw it on there, you know? But there's that. Now for the last but not least, the Akimbo Interceptor 45 pistols. I've gotten a number of 31 out of these, and they're lightly modded with an asepsis suppressor, a concealment boost, a micro laser, and that's about it. Now once again, if I was to put either of these on here, it's not going to change the detection risk at all. So feel free to, you know, experiment and see what you can get out of your weapons. That judge is modded probably like most people do it, minus a sight or something else, but it's got the triple aught buckshot, a silent killer suppressor, a concealment boost, micro or compact laser module, forgive me, and I use the C-More sight. So I mean, aside from putting something like this on, and you see it didn't change anything in detection risk. The military laser module has a -2 effect on concealment, but because the concealment number is so high with the Akimbo interceptors and most of these other Akimbo weapons, you can still stay right there at a fairly low detection risk. Even with the Krinkovs, the 7 is still not bad for a detection risk when you're talking what the Krinkovs afford you. With those are pretty heavy hitters as well. So yeah, just play around with your builds and your mods, and you know, have fun with it and see what you can live with and what you can't live with, and you know, act accordingly. With that being said, I think, you know, the Akimbo Weapons have a newfound respect from me, because I always stayed away from them and didn't realize why a lot of players, I hate saying everyone, why a lot of players are using these for stealth, but proof is in the pudding. They're real easy to keep a low detection risk even when you're using a highly modded judge. So with that being said, take care, be well, and good games, everyone.